Good morning. How are
Hey,
you
good
doing?
morning.
Nice. Oh, nice to see you again.
Good to see you.
The
It's gonna
favorite
be a
part
great
of my
day.
week.
Mine too.
All right, y'all. Well, let's do it.
Make it
Welcome to The
happen.
Wolf and the Bear, an educational spiritual podcast starring medium and channel Terri Groom and me, your host, Sophia Sterling. The sole purpose, meant in both ways of the word, of this podcast is to bring real knowledge channeled straight from the source or straight from experience without ego. And as Terri says, with love first, then wisdom. As always, Terri is in the house, our resident wolf energy. She's the number one psychic medium and channel in DFW area and is a published author of Altered Grace and featured on Netflix. And I am her forever student of the craft and rockin' bear energy till I die. We're going to bring real spiritual information and we package it in a kind and raw way, leaving ego at the door. Like and subscribe wherever you get your podcast and subscribe to our YouTube channel to enter a chance to get a free 30-minute reading. 2 names will be drawn at the end of every month. All right.
We got it.
Always to our first segment. What is going on in your world?
Oh, it's a great morning. I've had my coffee. I'm ready to rock and roll. The sun is out. It couldn't be a better day.
It is Monday for us. Obviously, we're going to be
Yes.
posting on Friday, but what is there anything big in the week coming up that you're excited about? You have any days
Well,
off? I already know you don't.
not yet. I didn't make it last week, and this week I've got higher hopes for a day off. But you know what? I love what I do, and every day is just a new experience. It keeps me motivated. So it's a good
I
week.
love it. Yay! I feel the same vibe. We're about to go into the real beginning of the year with the Aries season. And
Yes.
we're taking advantage of that because we're shooting it before, but we're launching March 1st. So I love that the timing, we didn't really know we were going to be doing this, and suddenly everything is just falling into line, and it's got to be the energies with us. So I'm pretty happy about it.
Absolutely.
Well, so in the name of, getting our topic going,
Oh boy.
we're going to be pulling
Yes.
out of here today.
Oh,
And
that looks
again,
like my neighbor. No, just kidding.
oh, I'm not going to touch that one because I love Baby Yoda. And listen, all right. So this is a little bit harder than it seems. All right. It says sex.
Woo,
And
yowza.
it's a big topic. It's a big topic, but
It
it
is
is part of the human experience.
Yes, it is. A big topic in 3 letters. You bet.
Yes. And whenever I put that topic in the groupings of things that we could pull from, I really have been looking forward to it because I think that right now we have this combative relationship with sex. We have some people who are really, really empowered by it and feel that there's a lot of spiritual strength around the topic. Then we also feel that there's some people that feel that even the activity of it lowers your vibration and it's straight from the root chakra and all these negative connotations.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to ask you what that feels like to you when it comes to when people talk about sex and it has an unhealthy feeling in their energy versus somebody who speaks about it and it feels really healthy. And then also, do you ever feel that you see this in energy? I'm just very curious about your opinion of the topic itself.
Well, I have seen it be very, very connected as far as sex and spirituality, and maybe a little bit too much. Yes, they can certainly be independent of each other, and they can certainly, have a correlation and work well together. I always look at things, if you're using it because it satisfies an unhealthy need, or you're looking at it such that without this connection you can't be spiritual, or vice versa, then I have to say you've got a bad relationship bringing the two together. Okay.
I love that.
What I see a lot in my practice, in my business, is that I'll have those come into my office and they will be just so shattered by life and so shattered by things not working out and not coming together the way that they had intended, and they are becoming more promiscuous, and they're feeling that what the hell, I might as well, because I'm not going down the right path anyway. So those are the ones I get very concerned about. I don't like them to be brought together in a negative way. there's something very powerful about being spiritual and being sexual, but they really, it really depends on the situation. I'm gonna leave it in your capable hands for a minute.
I love it. Well, so there is so much talk about really lately in like I stay pretty online, so I see a lot of stuff, and it helps me sort of understand where the collective sits with it. And really what I'm finding is that there seems to be this idea or this thought form that women, because we are the receivers and the
Mm-hmm.
divine feminine sort of
Mm-hmm.
receives energy and
Yes.
transmutes it. That's part of what femininity does as a function.
Mm-hmm.
I feel. But then the weird part that I'm curious about, because it's scary and there's a lot of fear out there, and I feel fear about it when I see things like this. But there was recently a thought form that I heard where it was like, as a female, if you have sex with a man, you carry their energy for 28 days. So a full moon cycle. I don't know where anyone got that. I've never heard that before. I've never read that. Then I saw somebody else who extended that timeline into 7 years. So she's basically speaking about if you've had more than one partner for 7 years, or I mean, within 7 years, you have an amalgamation of energy that's not yours that you're just carrying. And to me, that doesn't make sense of what I understand about how we carry energy. And I just thought, I could be wrong. I'm open to it. But I just feel like that's a lot of fear mongering. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, and it can certainly be a lot of fear mongering. We recognize that happens quite often, connected to spirituality. There's so many different opinions and takes on this, and I've heard about the 7 years and 28 days and what have you. Hopefully, you're all taking a shower in between first and foremost.
Oh my God, Terri.
And so, hey, got to keep it real.
She's
Got to
like,
keep it
also
fun.
real hygiene, y'all.
Real
like spiritual
hygiene, right?
and
Because
I
I've
love
got some
you.
visuals that are just not working for me right now.
I'm
Okay.
so sorry. I love you.
So more than anything,
I'm dying.
biologically speaking, if you want to look at the physiology, the health concerns, blah, 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 that's a whole different podcast. As far as connecting the two in spirituality, it is fear mongering. We see fear mongering in many ways when it comes to sexuality, whether it be through metaphysical study, spirituality, religious methodologies. We see it's just another way of kind of holding captive people. Now, on the flip side of that, I've also heard that the more you can, the more you can receive, the more you receive from above. I know we're getting a little
No, this is we
coloring
keep it real.
outside the lines, folks. Here we go.
Listen, in this podcast, there are no lines.
We're real. That's right. Sometimes really honest.
It has more to be that way. Nobody else is being that way. Anyway.
Well, the bottom line is I am certainly not the prude that's going to sit here and say, oh gosh, how can you come to my class? How can you be spiritual? How can we move forward if you just, had sex with, your boyfriend? Well, you know what? Have at it. I'm not the judge and jury, but I will tell you, if you're using it to help you to move forward in spirituality, if you're using it in a way that is harmful to just the nature of what it's meant to be, then you've got a problem. And it goes far beyond a topic of sex and spirituality. So more than anything, I'm gonna refer back to you, my dear, because I know that we've had this conversation on this topic, and we feel a lot of us that pretty much the same, a lot of similarities in our thinking.
Yes. Well, and I am like you, I feel like I have a pretty moderate take on sexuality. I know that for myself and in my past, when I've had promiscuity, it's been during a time that I haven't felt that well about myself. So there's a recognition that it is really a go-to. I mean,
Yes.
we have to recognize that it brings forward connection that we all are missing on some level. And so if you're starved of connection and then you seek it this way, don't hate yourself for that. We recognize that there is just something that we're seeking, and this is one of the ways in our society promotes promiscuity. And I'm not going to sit here and promote it, but I do wish that people would reduce this shame thing, because we're all just trying to connect, and it really does come down to that. And I think, I will say though, that when people talk about the spiritual, quote unquote, difference of men and women, I really think that's based, I mean, I could be wrong, but I think there's a more of a biological aspect, and that's been
Hmm.
really proven. One of my
Yes.
favorite, he's a Stanford, I believe. He's not an endocrinologist, he's a neurologist, but he works on endocrine studies as well. And he talks about women after sex or post coitus, we release bonding, and it's an evolutionary thing.
Yes.
Whereas men only receive or experience that when they've come to genuinely find fondness in their partner. So they really have to be much more mental about how they feel with their partner to release that oxytocin and that dopamine and that
Hmm.
those love emotions,
Hmm.
serotonin, of course. But like women do that no matter what. They don't have to like the guy, they don't have to know
Right.
the guy. We are biologically intended to bond with who we sleep with. So I don't, I always think there's, oh, I can't, I mean, I don't want to go too far into this because it's a different topic, but I do feel sometimes as well that guys and girls are having a great experience with somebody, that experience leaves them and they say, oh, because I had such a good time and I like them so much, surely they've cast a love spell on me. And you're just like, I don't know where to go with that because that's a little bit wild to me. And when that thought forms in the head, then you take off the responsibility of having to clear that energy.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
I don't love that. But I do want to get onto another aspect of the sex part with you and talk about as well. If there is ever, when we read energy, right? And I hear you say this all the time. You'll say somebody is in your energy. Someone's
Hmm.
behind you, someone's to your right, and in the
Hmm.
lover perspective. But
Right.
you notice that you only feel and see and identify who they are actively in engagement with. And of course, if someone's actively engaged with several people, that's where I've heard you call people out, say, there's two energies, you got to pick one.
Right.
So,
Hmm.
but what I don't see, and I feel that what you don't see is this long line of energies still it's always active. It's like we don't
Yes.
carry that. I
Mm-mm.
just don't see it. And that's the
No.
difference, I think, between active practitioners and people who just read about it and think about it. Because if those things were true about the 28 and the 7 and all this stuff, it would show up around them in spirit, right?
That's very well said. And you're absolutely right. You know, when we are doing our work and working with others and having our sessions, I mean, I'm grateful because I certainly wouldn't want to say, "Oh gosh, you've got 10 people behind you. Which one are you sleeping with next?" I
No,
wouldn't want to do
God.
that. Because that brings us into a whole different type of topic to sit with. But you're you've got a lot of really good points, Sophia. I do feel that yes, they play a role. They can merge in and play a role. You know,
Ooh,
I have to share a quick story of just what we're talking about, an example of it.
I
You
love
know,
your stories.
I have an amazing client who has found that she does feel the joy and the spirituality when she is with a partner who just feels, you know, that loving, caring space that brings that in forward for her. And I'm on board with her telling me that, you know, she feels more spiritual, she does more meditation, she is with this particular person, and the next day she's like, you know, reading and absorbing and healing and all this great stuff. Now, you know, we can look at that like, boy, that the sex must have been pretty good, right? Or
Right.
something. Um,
Yes.
we can look at it like, okay, she needed it to fill a space within her heart, whether it be from a trauma center or whether it just be from just a physical need. But can we look at that and say, this person that you just spent time with created that for you? Or do we look at it that way, or do we say, hey, what a wonderful thing. You can take a good experience and have it be a motivating tool for you in other areas?
Mm-hmm.
So when she tells me these things, I'm on board. I'm like, hey, you know, this sounds like a wonderful relationship. It may not necessarily be the one, but it's doing something for her.
Mm-hmm.
So is the lack thereof, if we flip the coin over and look at it from the other perspective. So if this relationship bombs, does that mean that she is no longer able to meditate or be spiritual
Ooh.
or, you know,
Has she created
absorb
a
information?
codependency?
Right. Bingo. You've got into the topic I was trying kind of steer away from, but it does become codependency. So,
Yes.
if you can beautifully link the two, then have at it. I'm on
Mm-hmm.
board. I'm married to my twin flame, and that's a whole nother topic. And I'm going to tell you, spirituality rocks. So,
We love
so,
that for you, Terry.
oh, well,
Talking to your single friend here. I'm just kidding.
well, I know someday, dear, someday.
I'm just teasing.
Someday when you're more spiritual,
I
right?
know. I need to be more spiritual, clearly. Well, I love it. And I will say this as a you were exactly in, like, when I spend time with your family and when I'm around you and Brian, it's so wonderful. It's the energy is very flowing in a cyclical fashion, which makes sense. I don't feel that one takes more than the other. And
No.
it's also very healthy. And I don't know what happens in y'all's private life, but I know that everything I can perceive it as feeling very balanced. And so I think if there is that if there's anything I would admire and I would seek in a partner with myself, is that it would not be, I love sex as much as the next person, but I would want that balance. I don't want it to put up with cruel behavior just because this is good,
Right.
or vice versa. You know what I mean? It's like, so, we recognize there is a real balance, just like if everyone talks about balancing chakras, but yet if the source of your energy is in the root, well, you're gonna embolden an area that is also rife with unconscious desires and needs.
Yes.
And there's a thing that I'll speak about briefly, but a lot of people are are creating a spiritual, like, nirvana-esque thing with the feminine orgasm and with the male orgasm, right? That's a
Yes.
big topic right
Hmm.
now. But we recognize that really when you are in the biological function of orgasm, your ego, right, the thing that sort
Hmm.
of holds your conscious thoughts for the most part, it
Hmm.
shatters. That's why it's powerful. But the
Yes.
problem is people then think that they can channel that moment into a direction. But the reality
Yes.
is if your desires, if your real logic is shattered, all that's really left to pull from can be the unconscious. So you
Yes.
think, oh, that energy is going to somewhere great, but really there's an insecurity that you don't even really see. And now it's been emboldened by this energy, and that was never the intention. And
No.
I wish that people were very careful with that thought form because it's
Yes.
being under described and over manipulated. And the
Yes.
reality is you're going to pay the price for that. There's really nobody else who's going to be involved with
No.
it because that's y'all's business. But I would just be very, very careful at this
Hmm.
thought form that that sex and spirituality should be tools together. I just think it's life. Enjoy it. Enjoy
Exactly.
but don't try to use that energy,
Right.
because I promise you, 9 times out of 10, you're going to have actions that you did not anticipate, maybe in tandem with what you anticipated. Maybe what you anticipated does not even manifest because
Hmm.
you're assuming you have control of that moment, and none of us do. So
No.
I would just like to say that.
Exactly.
Oh, and I will say this really fast to the women who I do see this a little bit right now because this is being very publicized. If you are using anything regarding sexual energy against somebody's knowingness, we have to just recognize significant karmic, like, that gets logged.
Right.
And you really need to be mindful that anything that impedes free will, there will be a response to that. So,
Absolutely.
and I think it's really sad because I've been telling some of my male friends to not eat after a woman that they've just met, because there's some weird things with the sexuality that they're like, I love you, eat my food, and then they try to channel the sexuality thing, and before you know it, they're trying to get a man who maybe doesn't have free will about this. And I think that's
Right.
scary. And we
It
are
is
in a
scary.
time, that's why we're doing this podcast. This spirituality is really a hot topic right now.
Yes, it is.
So it's a responsibility. Like, don't get careless with it. Don't do wild things with sexuality. Don't damage that connection. It really is
No.
beautiful. Don't abuse it with yourself or with others.
Exactly. And that makes a lot of sense. And you know what was said just a moment ago, don't eat, after them. Now, we're not asking you to go on a 5-day fast here. We're simply saying use good judgment. Make sure you kind of get an understanding of exactly who you are with. Now, hopefully you've done a little bit of that before, you've had a sexual interaction. But really, be mindful. There are a lot of people out there that do want to manipulate free will. They want to go in and really call it their own instead of it's yours and I have my own. And that's a whole nother segment. And trust me, we'll get there because there's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people that really need to hear that message.
Yes, I love it. And I think that ultimately, if we can just sort of pare down all this activity around tethering the sex and the spirituality, I think it would be relieving. Because
Yes.
really, we and dolphins, we're the only ones who actually uh, have sex for pleasure.
Yes.
So there's a
That's right.
recognition that, that is probably a gift. There's something really cool about that. The animal kingdom's huge. And how are there only, well, that we know of, only two that really do that. So it's
Right.
something to be appreciated for sure.
Yes.
And I'm not sitting here saying like, oh, like, you need to be, like, sex needs to be sacred. I think sex can be whatever you want it to be, as long as you
Hmm.
have a knowledge of what you
Right.
want it to be.
Right. And please don't take this out of context, listeners and viewers. We're not saying you should be, freaked out about this, or no sex for you, or, 7-year itch, or whatever you want to call it. That's not where any of this is really hitting. It's more about use good common judgment, good common sense. If it brings you to a state of awareness that's heightened and different, then then kudos to you. You get an A+. If it doesn't, then it doesn't mean you're at fault. It just simply means it doesn't connect to it. And that's okay if it does or doesn't.
I love that. I love that. And then if you had anything to say about just people they get it in their head that someone's cast a love spell on them, how would you handle that? Like, what would you tell someone? They call you and they're like at 4 a.m., because you don't need sleep,
Well,
right?
yeah.
And you're like, Terri, I'm assuming, like, I don't know why I'm in my head, it's a guy. It's like, Terri, I can't sleep. I keep dreaming about her. Da 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 da. I think has cast some love spell on me. I think that she's done something to me. What would your answer to that be?
I'd say they're screwed because they've got 7 years of bad luck. No, I didn't say.
Just shatter a mirror right now.
That's right. No, in seriousness, you know what I would say to them after I got over the fact that it's in the middle of the night. And by the way, listeners, that doesn't give you carte blanche to reach out to me in the middle of the night.
Yeah,
Just for
right.
the record, that's really just kind of like a little joke we've got running. Um, so when they call me during the day, during the business hours,
Like a
and they say
respectful
that to
person.
me, when they say that to me, again, do I believe there's such thing as love spells? I've seen some pretty interesting things in my day. Okay. I am not going to discredit that. If I've got a really hurting client and they want to light a red candle and a white candle, or they want to light a silver and a gold. And the only thing that I've moved away from the acceptance of, I've had some people tie them with straw and string and everything else and bind them to somebody, like a love spell with rope, basically.
Mm, mm.
And I say, we got to move past that. But if they are feeling that someone is really manipulating their energy, then I simply say to them, well, a couple things. Go get yourself an Epsom salt bath. Go get yourself a glass of water. Get back to bed if it's in the middle of the night and deal with it in the morning. But more than anything, where do you stand with that? Are you happy about that? Are you sad about that? Are you glad about that? I'm not going to go in and tweak your free will either. So
Mhm.
it's certainly bothering you, but from what direction? Are you looking for an answer, or are you looking for confirmation? What's your take on it? There's a lot of people that use love spell as if it's like, cotton candy, like everybody's got a chance to get some, you
Oh
know,
no. Oh
and it
no.
isn't really that way. you know we're going to
Yeah.
get thousands of people that are doing love spells today that'll be like all upset with that message, but that's okay.
Well, I'll say it right now. This is not the podcast for you then.
Or
We
maybe it
recognize.
is,
Or
or
maybe it is.
maybe it is.
Listen, comment down below. How wrong are we about this? I'd love to know.
ah Love first, wisdom second.
Sorry, you're right. Sorry. Yes. Yes, ma'am.
That's funny.
I love you. I love you.
You too. Oh my gosh. So
I'm so happy that we talked about this because I think it really is. It's important. And
it
it's not that
is,
in
you
some
know
ways.
yeah, sex doesn't have to be your tether to your spiritual balloon. Just do what you would need to do. Use good judgment in your life.
Hmm.
And if it works together for you, then more power to you.
Perfect. I love it. Um, well, let's see. I'm trying to think of. there was one other thing I wanted to ask you about regarding it, but I think we've covered. If there's something that comes in, I'll pop in about it. But I love how you perceive it. I think that you're absolutely right. I think that there's a lot of fear about it, and I'm happy that we talked about it.
I love
Yay!
it. I love it. Fear mongering, gets salt and peppered in a lot of different aspects of our everyday life. And, this is just another example of fear mongering,
Mm-hmm. And
so,
I like what you said too about are you happy about that?
right.
Because the reality is our free will is so much stronger than people seem to think it is.
Yes.
And there is a reality that if I felt like somebody cast anything on me, or whether it's anything, I would be irritated that someone thought that they could to me,
Right.
because I have an expectation of what I do with my energy. I have an expectation of the hygiene of my energy. And with
Mhm.
the guides, I have expectations that they wouldn't allow that to come to me in that way. And I wish that if people had that recognition of that you do have a domain and you are given the gifts to protect it
Yes.
without any help, like without anything non-native to your energy, like
Precisely.
we have that. So I love that we do. I wish more people felt that, because it's true. We are literally our own castle, and
Yes.
you let it, you protect it, and you
Right.
have the ability to, and we all do. Okay, now I am going to ask you some of the listener questions
Oh, good.
because one of my favorite parts. Uh, First of all, I love to see you shine, which is amazing,
Haha.
and
She's
also this
testing
is
me, folks. She calls it
no.
shining, but she's testing me.
Oh, I'm so happy. Even yeah, I'll go to the feedback already from the last 2 episodes has been insane, because there's a lot of people who are going to watch that, and there's just a recognition that this is real. There's a reality to it. So
Yes,
I
there
love that.
is.
Okay, I didn't write these down very well, so I'm going to start with. Okay, there is a female that I know. Her name is Alex.
Okay. Hi,
She
Alex.
is
She's not
a
listening
very
right now, but hello,
right,
Alex. Right.
and very very interesting energy, very
Mhm.
intelligent.
Mhm.
She did lose her mother quite a bit ago, I believe,
Yes.
and she did not have any questions, but she was curious about a message from mom.
Her mother, and again, I'm not trying to sound cliche, but her mother is really proud of her. I can feel that right away. I feel like there was a real strong need for Alex to hear that she has had along through her life. She's really wanted to make sure that she stayed within the direction, that she stayed within the path, and I feel Alex is doing very well. Her mom just wants her to continue to live, to go forward, but add some more joy to it as well. Sometimes Alex becomes caught up in getting things done, making sure that she is seen as doing the right thing. And so her mother is just saying it's okay. It's okay to go and take that trip. Go get those toes in the sand at the beach. I don't really care for it. She's telling me that. So she's speaking a little bit through me. She says, I'm not one to take my shoes off in the beach. That took a lot of coaxing. So there must be an experience there. But she said that Alex needs to go to the beach. She needs to just take a second and lighten up for her. She works really hard and she keeps
Mhm.
busy. And I'm just so proud of her. That's what her mom is saying through me. And she just wants her to thrive and to know that she's doing it right.
I love that. Very very good. I can't relate on that level to have lost a parent really early. But there is, I know just from the work that we do, there's a lot of concern of like, Alex just really made a huge accomplishment and got a house,
Mhm.
and I know that there's like, do they know what I'm up to? Do they, like, I got this way, and I love that, there's an
Well,
acknowledgement of that.
it's interesting because her mom's like, wait a minute, I didn't leave. She's like, I'm still talking. I'm like,
Oh,
okay.
sorry. Let's go, mom. I
Sometimes
love
it bees that way.
it, dude.
She's wanting to make sure that Alex doesn't forget to get some planters. She said that she'll really like some flowers, and that would make her happy too. Uh, she said not to give Alex more work because she's already got a lot of work, and she's already picked her room. Just so you know,
What does that mean? I just got
she's picked her
goosebumps.
room in the house.
Oh my God, I'm gonna cry. Are you serious? That's so
Yes,
cool.
she's just said She likes all the light that's coming in. So she's going to go ahead and make sure the shades stay open in this particular room.
I just have full body goosebumps. That's
Yeah.
absolutely wild. Oh, thanks
I
for
like
coming
her
in.
mom. She's making sure she gets heard. She's like, excuse me.
I love it. I love it. That's so funny. Well, listen, that's so cool. So she knows where she's going to be in the house. That's crazy.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
We
and
love
she'll
that.
make sure that Alex knows that she's there in a loving way, obviously. She doesn't want to scare Alex. But she says Alex is extremely busy.
Mm-hmm. You know, is there just for my own question, I guess it's like, is that just sometimes in the energy of a person where it's just like it's in their nature to be that way? Or is there actually like a time where this will rest for her?
Well, and it kind of is a combination of all things. Just like when I teach, I always reference the jigsaw puzzle. We're all interlocking pieces to the next step, to the next journey, to the next skill set. And so with Alex, I feel she's kind of driven. She wants to be successful. She wants to be. I don't want to say favored, but she wants to make people like her. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I simply mean she tries always to do the right thing. Sometimes she overworks it and overthinks it. So really the message, and I can't intellectualize mom's message to her because then that would be Terri getting in the middle of it. But I really get the impression, and I'm asking her mom in my mind, I'm saying, hey, if I'm wrong, mom, you need to speak up. But it's really, she just wants her to know that it's okay to take that breath and go do something fun. It's a little bit of the childlikeness that she's trying to remind Alex of.
Perfect. Well, I'm so glad that she came through for her, and I
I am
think
too.
what a wonderful message.
Yes.
All right. So another individual by the name of Kirsten.
Okay.
And so she just has questions really about. She says, okay, well, it's about career stuff, but what career goal should I be focusing on in the upcoming year? Am I even in the right industry? And is there a path forward that could involve owning my own business or becoming?
There we go. Okay. That's what I was waiting for, that cliffhanger,
Yes.
because that's what it felt like to me. I'm going to tell her that she's really not where she's happy. Okay. She's doing something that's going to net her an income and sustain her life. But I feel that her lifestyle is growing, and I feel that she's got a lot to offer the world. She's got a bit of a restless nature, and I feel that she needs to be in her own business. So that's not going to happen overnight. It is going to take her some time. We live in the now, we live in the today. So we're not going to say someday she'll accomplish this, because we don't go there, because that doesn't ever happen. So today we're going to remind her that she needs to start moving forward to that. I don't mean that she needs to go drop some money off and, get the business orchestrated this moment, but she needs to start putting it down on paper or computer, getting herself situated. I don't feel where she is right now is her cup of tea, the way I'm hearing it. It's not something that really does much more than sustain a life, and that's it. I don't feel that she feels like, I just don't feel a happiness. I don't feel a draw there. It doesn't mean it's a bad place to work. It simply means it's probably not the right one for her. Tell her to not to limit herself to local ideas. I feel that a lot of what she's going to do is going to be driven electronically, and I feel that she's going to get the word out, and probably will have a product also that will be part of her future endeavors. So tell her to be quite the inventor and not to be shy.
Oh, wow. That's so wonderful. That's so cool. And she does, the last thing I want to touch on real quick is family planning a realistic goal of for me, she says.
Well, I'm never going to shoot anyone down for having a plan of raising a family, but I also feel for her it's about timing. We know that these are major life events. Changing jobs, having a new job, raising a family. These are very, very driven major events in our life. I don't want to feel that she and I'm not hearing that she needs to put it on the back burner. But I do feel that she has to be realistic about the process of things. You can't have two huge helpings of work without something suffering somewhere. raising a family is a lot of work, and so is opening up a business. Tell her to be optimistic about the family. I do see children around her. I feel that she would be a really good mom. She's got the patience of a saint, is what I'm hearing. And so she may not agree. You have to ask the people that she loves the most, but but I do feel she's very patient and she'll make a good mom. But I don't see it this year, and I don't really see it next year. Tell her free will is an amazing tool. She may choose the family before the business, but I really feel she's going to start doing something that's more independent, which will give her a segue into raising a family. It'll be different for her.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Mhm.
Very, very good. Thank you so much,
You're welcome.
Kirsten. I hope that helps. And you're right. She's very, the restlessness, she's like all Aries, moon, sun, like it's
Yep.
crazy. I've never seen anything like it. It's
Yep.
so funny. And she's also, I don't know if this matters, but she's also a 33 in life path. And that's
Yeah.
not nothing.
Yep. That's master numbers. Good. I love it. She'll succeed.
Oh, good. Very good. There's such positive messages. I'm very happy about this.
Well, again, what I hear, my guides know that we've got to get a message across. It's got to be honest. But again, love first, wisdom second. And they're never going to say, listen, you're doing the wrong thing. You're an idiot and blah, blah, blah. That's not the way
Right.
we work.
No. All right. There's two more. And then I appreciate again, Terri, but this is sort of one of the things about what we do is this like, there's so much negativity. If we can, we're going to bring the good ones out.
We're going to bring the good. Before you say the next person, I feel like there's a health concern. I don't know why I'm feeling that, but I'm curious as to what you're going to tell me on this next listener view or for the message, because I feel like there's a health concern there.
Oh, interesting. I wasn't sure which one I was going to take next, so we'll see if this one is.
Just pick it. Close your eyes
Absolutely.
and pick.
Yeah. Well, we're going to go JJ. He's up in New York.
Okay.
And he was asking about and there's another gentleman not in America, so maybe that was the one you're picking up as well. But let me see. Okay. He says, please ask about the spirits and entities that follow me, and also, of course, the future love question that everyone has.
Oh, the love question. It's like the love boat. Okay,
we all want connection.
Everybody needs connection. Hey, I'm right there with you. I agree. There's nothing wrong with connection. I do feel he's got a lot of energies around him. I feel like he's kind of still sitting on the fence with the spirituality, trying to decide if this is for him or not. And so he's kind of getting first what he asked for, which is he wanted to know if there was something out there. And so they're kind of lining up going, yep, here we are, surprise. He does have a couple relatives, I feel, from the old country. I'm hearing it from the old country. I'm not sure what that means, but I don't know where the old country. I'd have to research that. But he's got some relatives pretty far back that are kind of showing up. I see a woman. It's interesting. I see a woman in an apron and also a kerchief, one of the old-fashioned kerchiefs. And wow. I just see that there's some people that are just coming forward that are part of his lineage, part of his family, soul family.
Because he asked, or would they be there regardless?
I feel that as he opened up the door, they saw an opportunity. And so again, they're also just kind of, hey, I'm here. You've been looking for us. Mm-hmm. And, again, we do have to be mindful when we just, blatantly, I don't know how that sounds, but ask the spirit world to bring people in. We have to use a little bit of discernment there. And I'm not saying that in regards to his family. I really feel that they're just there because he's invited. He's invited energy. Mm-hmm. I don't feel anything dangerous or dark around him. Oftentimes when we are starting and getting involved in a spiritual journey, we see these things just because we're a little worried about things. We're in the energy of I want this, I want that. But we're also a little bit timid by it. And I feel like he's just got a loving group of people around him, family, and also a little bit of the guide work that's coming forward. So tell him he's got his work right ahead of him and also right around him. Okay.
Interesting. And when you say work, you just mean transmuting that energy?
Transmuting that energy. I do feel, again, it's all free will, people. He can decide not to do anything at all and just go, shoo, everybody get away and not deal with it. Or he can decide to get very creative and start digging further into a family tree to see who these people could be and how they are part of his world. as far as love, I feel that he's hungry for it. I can feel it. He's like, I want it now. Tell him to make sure that he doesn't just, grab at it because it's there. Make sure that his needs are met. I do feel there's someone around him coming. I don't necessarily feel he's in anything right now substantial, but I do feel he's got someone, and tell him to just, be available. People want love in relationships, and they go and they hold out and hold up in their home, right? And they
Mm.
don't ever leave the front door. Well, unless you want, your love life to, include the spirit world, and the spirits are coming in through the wall, you're not really going to get anything. So more than anything, that was a joke, people, just for the record. That's a
No,
whole
no,
nother
right.
subject. But I do
Always.
feel he is in the market. I can feel that. He does want it, and he will. He needs someone with a really good sense of humor.
Yeah, yeah. I always he's very I like aggressive and unapologetically
Right.
him. And there's
Yes.
part of that that I admire. So I always tease him about like I'll be boisterous and be like, I'm just trying to be more like you, JJ. So I admire that aspect of him. Sometimes
Yes.
reckless, it's fine.
Hey, he's a great guy. He's got a lot going on in his life, and he's doing 80 to 100 nonstop as far as efforts. He's
That's awesome.
constantly moving forward. I feel like
Good.
he's got a trip coming up. Tell him he needs to rethink that.
But rethink the trip.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Definitely. Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. All right. And then the last one is a gentleman. I believe he's currently in India. I think he's trying to move to the UK again.
Okay.
He goes by Rooster.
Hi,
'Cause
Rooster. Hey,
the Chinese
Rooster.
zodiac.
Yep.
And he would like to know, okay, his spiritual question I thought was kind of interesting. And he says, because he's very aware
Mhm.
of spirituality, but he doesn't, I guarantee that he's kind of, he's not really a believer. So he says, is it possible to change your physicality based on meditation and prayer? I guess somewhere he saw that was a thing that was being alleged to be true.
Oh my
And I guess he's
gosh,
talking about,
absolutely.
I don't really know what he was talking about, honestly.
Oh, absolutely. Your state of mind influences your body in many, many ways. When you're in a state of meditation, we know that your heart rate slows down. We know your body temperature changes. We recognize that working in the spiritual world and efforts can really do a lot of good for the body. For one thing, if you're calmer, then your stress levels are down and your cortisol levels are not, skyrocketing. So can it show in other ways? Oh, absolutely. People that are, now I want to say people that are more spiritual, this is going to get a riff here, tend to drink more water, except me. I drink coffee, but
Same. I need to drink more water. Oh my
we
gosh.
need to drink. But again, it's more of that pull to be well, to think well. Do you see? And so as we are going through the spiritual journey, we just naturally, not always, but we tend to be mindful of how we're responding to it. And that means not just emotionally or spiritually, but mentally and physically. So
Mm.
absolutely, absolutely. And I feel that if he's not meditating now, I feel he needs to. It's really good for him. And I feel that he has an opportunity, whether he believes in, that we see spirits or not. Certainly he believes in the value of connection and quietening the mind.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He's a good
Very, very
guy. He's
good.
very I could see that he can be very analytical and both things, and want to really kind of hone in on the facts. I'm also wanting to tell him that some of the facts that he has found will also, because I do feel he's been researching this, will also show that there's definitely a correlation.
Oh, interesting. I love that. And then his more personal question is will I make money this year, and is being a millionaire written in my destiny?
Oh, look at you. Well, if it's not in yours, then let's put it there. Again, free will is an amazing tool. If you are looking to make $1 million, I suggest you start manifesting, and also investing in time meditating. Invest in a lot of positive thinking, setting affirmations to make it happen. If you're going to sit on the sofa eating popcorn and watching TV, the $1 million probably isn't going to be yours. I don't feel that's you. I do feel that you've got some motivation and drive. Making money is important to you. and it always will be. So will you make $1 million? We need to get more specific, because during the course of your life, you probably will find a way to make $1 million. I think you really want it in one lump sum. So let's just get real motivated as usual. And I do feel that there's a likelihood for you to do quite well. Don't be afraid to make money. There is a part of energy around you that tells me that there's almost like I don't want to say a negative vibe around it. It might even be that someone has pushed you to the point where it's made you a little bit pushing back when it comes to getting that income, making that money, getting this job, doing 2 jobs, don't move here, don't move there. And I feel like there may be a slight bit of oppression there. But make the money, get yourself in that situation, and I do feel that you will. You said that you're trying to move to, is that what I'm hearing? To the UK?
I'm not up to date
Feels
on
familiar.
all
There's
that.
something about the
Yes.
UK that's very connecting.
I think he's been there. He used to live there.
That's why.
He's
Because
trying
it
to get
feels like
back.
this is like kind of like going back home in some ways. It's that
Mhm.
energy, that inertia. I feel that he will, but I also want to say before he goes, he needs to get things started here first. It's so much better to be optimistic and positive and in the right course of action before you make a big move than it is to believe that the big move is going to bring it all to you.
I see. Mhm.
Okay.
And I'm just to follow back on the health concern that you felt.
I did. I felt that. And I actually feel that it's not his. It's the one from New York.
Okay.
Somebody, it needs a little bit of zinc. I'm not a medical doctor. I have to legally say that. I'm a medical empath. And I feel he would do well to have a little bit of some zinc and some vitamin C. I do feel there's a little bit of just feels like congestion, whether it be just from, we're in the winter, of course. And I just feel that around him. Just take good care, good health care. Okay.
Very good. Very good. But nothing scary. And
No, I don't
I'm
see
happy to.
anything. No, and that's a good point. We don't want to leave him thinking, oh my gosh, what does that mean? It just simply means that he's likely to be under the weather. And that's not something that's going to harm him in any level, really, other than make him, uncomfortable. So,
Oh, I see what you're saying. You're basically saying, like, due to this possible reality that he's kind of not taking care of himself, which,
yes.
it's fine, to be honest. Like, then there's going to be kind of a reoccurring, like a chronic, basically, you're just
Right.
always a little bit under the weather.
Ah,
So
that's
I see what
exactly
you're
what.
saying.
You see what I'm saying? It's like we
Perfect.
got to optimize that energy. When we're feeling better in all ways, we succeed. We succeed a
Oh,
little
yeah.
bit, in a better state. So that's all I'm saying. I don't want him to think that he's got this illness that's gonna, shake his world. I just feel he doesn't like to be ill. He gets very cranky, and therefore we want to keep those colds and upper respiratories at bay as we get through the rest of February in particular.
I love it. Thank you.
You're
And
welcome.
to that point also as well about, like, spiritual energy, all that stuff, like, it does, we are spirit having a human experience. And so we really, I mean, as much as we aren't tethered to this body, we also are in a lot of ways. So it's like
Absolutely.
you can meditate forever, right? But if you're not eating right, if you're ingesting all the things that we love to ingest, booze,
Oh,
whatever it could be,
absolutely.
it's going to impact the way that you can even project your own energy in the other ways that matter. So,
Right. Well,
and
and
we
it
always,
goes exactly. And I just got this image. So, when I get these images, I have to share it. It's kind of like getting the car and giving it a good bath. You're washing the car and, everything's really pristine, except you don't put gas in it. It's like, you got to do 2 things here. You got to take care of the body in a way that's sustainable. And you also got to be in a state of mind that nurtures that helps you to find that awareness.
perfect. I just remembered I need to get gas in my car.
Came from somewhere. I don't know why I had to say about the gas in the car, but I had to.
Well, I love it. I love it. And thank you again for taking those listeners. And I think at the end of the day, it just seems like that for all the anxiety about this new year, because I know everyone's kind of worried about this new year, and we're seeing that in a lot of
Yes.
the questions. Um, but I will say that I don't feel this major calamity that everybody is referring to in the energy. And so I feel that even in some of the questions today, there was an underlying fear that
Uh-huh.
somehow the bottom's going to drop out of this new year,
Mhm.
and I just don't see that. I feel like it's going to be another not amazing year. You know, we're kind of in this odd time
Mhm.
where COVID, and then we're all sort of playing like recovery. We're dealing with economic stuff, but
Yes.
that's not new for us. You know what I
No.
mean?
No, and,
And so
and we've
don't
gotta be
manifest the
adaptable.
fear.
There is a
100%.
fear. We have to be adaptable. I went through the pandemic just as well as the rest of the world, but I had to look at it from a standpoint of I'm not going to freak out. I'm not going to take it as something that I can't live through.
Mhm.
And again, I don't want to go into too much of that, but that's just an example. We really need to keep a real healthy state of mind. Now, that
Mhm.
doesn't mean that just because we're spiritual, we don't ever get depressed or anxious. We're just as human as everybody else.
100%.
Exactly. And we have those moments. Trust me, you don't want to pull out in front of me on George Bush, okay? Because if you do, the spiritual side of me is not available, okay? It's
I
gone.
love it.
And so,
By the way, listeners, George Bush is a major turnpike in DFW, and
yes.
Terry is a redhead.
Ooh, yeah, that's right. You're wondering why George is cutting me off, right?
Like George Bush, he's
George Bush.
what?
I
Is he a guide
know.
of yours? No,
I'm
I'm just
thinking
kidding.
you're just following the leader, the leader here, following the intuition, right?
100%. That's so funny.
But really, and realistically, lead with optimism. Lead with that love that we talked about. When you're optimistic, you just have a better life. You may have no
Mhm.
better than anybody else, but you will have a better life for you. And that's
Well,
so important.
and people always talk about vibration, right?
Ah,
And it's a favor, it's a buzzword,
it
but
is.
I do feel that when it comes to perceiving
Mhm.
your future and your here and now,
Right.
I hate to be the one repeating this, but it's like a cohort of things that you will see and interact with. And so
Yes.
if you have a vibration that expects good and expects kindness to come to you, and you're not going to get everything your way, but if you expect that good things will be coming intermixed with the natural amount of bad, you're
Yes.
going to see it and you're not going to miss it. But if you
Right.
have this expectation or this negativity about your purview for this next year, you're only going to see that. And so it's not so much or a manifestation thing, almost so much as it is like, what are you seeing? What are you allowing to go right over your head? Are you able to collect the moments that are beautiful and understand that the bad will come, but that is life. I
Yes.
just hate the world's falling apart, the government's crazy, da 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 da. And it's like,
Doesn't
well, every past life we've ever lived, there's been some iteration of all these troubles. So, and
it's
we've navigated that.
That's well said, and that's so true. And I really, it's important for me to say this for whatever reason, but I don't want the viewers and the listeners to think I'm some Pollyanna. Now, I do like Polly, and I've known a few Annas that were pretty cool too. But I'm not a Pollyanna, meaning I'm not thinking kumbaya moments all the
Hmm.
time. I'm
Right.
not in there being
Nope.
very, short-sighted when it comes to pain and suffering and fear and anguish. They're part of our life. They've been part of mine from my childhood. I get it. But I want you to understand, please, please, that you do have a say. No matter how things, move forward for you, you do have a say. And if you're telling yourself something negative, what makes you think that's going to help you move forward? If the
Mm.
world is already a difficult place, please don't be one of the difficult souls. Help yourself to move forward. And I really feel that with a little bit of optimism, we can really change a lot of our perspective and a lot of our life, getting that job, getting that business.
Well, and to keep it super real, the reality is we have a very set timeline that we've
Yes,
agreed to. So no matter whether you're optimistic or whether you're pessimistic or whether what's always true, death and taxes, right?
that's for sure.
And so, where do you want to look back on this and say like, well, regardless, you have this time.
Right.
No one's going to make you be optimistic. No
No,
one's going to force you to be pessimistic. So this is a lot of us. We have to be responsible for this because everyone's worried about their own castle and their own world.
that's
So
exactly
you're the
right.
only one who's going to make that difference.
You write your script, and we're going to do a lot of podcasts and YouTubes on optimism further as well. So this is just a little bit of a taste for you, but
And we'll talk about grief
and
too.
grief, a lot of grief.
It is what it is.
We want you to recognize that just get real with yourself. It doesn't have to be difficult. I have a lot of clients, and I break my heart because I hear, this is the way I was raised, so this is the way I am. And I want to, and I don't say this to everyone because I don't want to be, sound like a know-it-all or anything like that. But I say, in my head, I think I spent the first 6 years of my life living underneath my bed because it was the only safe place I could be. Does that mean that today I'm sleeping on the floor under my bed? No, because optimism and just the will to live pulled me through that. We all have the same gifts. There's nothing doled out to anyone that's bigger or greater than anyone else. It's what tools we choose to use and what we choose to do with them. So I know that got heavy for a second.
No,
I could feel the heaviness.
But what I love too is, we also recognize that if Terri Groom is stressed to high heaven, there probably is still something in your energy that seeks out a lower space. So we recognize that as much as we can transmute these crazy feelings, especially like, especially I had a childhood that was very confusing. And I just think that for all the optimism that we can channel and all the good perspective that we can have, there's no shame in the game when you're at your lowest or you're struggling.
No,
and you revert to these old coping mechanisms or these old aspects. All we're not asking anybody to be a saint. We're not asking anybody to handle the challenges of the world with love and light only. It's not realistic.
No,
but
it's not.
Love yourself through the part that's from the past. Like, if you wake up one night and you're under the bed, it is what it is.
Yes,
it doesn't mean,
absolutely. But don't camp out there. We can fix that.
Yes. We just recognize, hey, we gotta keep going, or we're gonna live our life under the bed. And that's not a life.
That's right.
So,
absolutely.
I don't know why. I love that. It just felt important to look at this new year because I know this is going to be, launching soon.
It is.
And I hope that people it's going to be okay.
It's going to be, it's going to be okay. Do we have things going on this year? Oh my gosh, absolutely. Turn on the TV. I mean, you'll get really depressed. There's a ton of things going on, but again, there's a ton of good things. I would, and again, this is also going to be brought up again, but start thinking of things to be grateful for, things that come into your everyday life to be grateful for. We're all really good. We've all read the script of, okay, this has made me mad. This has made me frustrated. This isn't right. This is unfair. What made you smile? What did you do when you got up? What happened that made you smile? It may have been that cup of coffee. It may been the fact that maybe you're off today, or maybe, work is great and you're on your way there. What made you happy? Focus on the things that really, really get your energy going, make you happy, rather than things that stimulate you to be moody and miserable. We all have a choice, and we all have the same choice.
Well, and I say this a lot to a lot of people, but when we discern vibrational matches or parallels, we have to figure out where they meet in the physical realm.
Yes.
And what I think is really interesting is when you are given something, abundance, in that moment in the physical world, the most natural response is gratitude, which means that they have, that means abundance and gratitude have to have the same vibration. And so when you're wanting abundance and you can't go out and get it because it's not quite yours yet, when you sit in gratitude, you are in the vibrational match for abundance because they meet together in the physical world. So it's not even just, yes, it's a feeling, but it's kind of a matrix hack. It's like, listen, you want to be on that vibrational match. Here's the only thing we can control is that feeling.
Right.
And then we start to find the abundance that pairs. It's like, the north and south of a magnet. They
what's drawn
meet
to us.
So
absolutely, A+. That's right. At least from our perspective, I'm 100% on board. There's.
Oh, go ahead. So sorry.
No, it's just the life could be just a wonderful, magical place, or it can be just a miserable, horrible experience. And I will tell you, I don't really like the horrible experience thought.
No, I can't. I know I'm going to botch this quote, but I can't remember the book author, but he says, all the heavens, all the hells, all the gods are within us. And I think
Ooh, I
if
love
that's not
it.
perspective, I don't know what is.
I'm right there with you. I'm getting goosey bumps.
I
That means
love
that
it.
sometimes when we do that, we get information that we know is really, really resonating with us. Yes.
I love it.
It's
Well,
amazing.
once again, it looks like we have done it.
We've done it. Oh my, Brutus is so happy with all that.
Well, we love
It's my
Brutus.
guide, folks.
Just t-shirts of Brutus one day. That's all we're
One
gonna.
day, I know. I mean, he's really a ham when it comes to stuff like that. He's probably never worn a
Imagine,
t-shirt before.
imagine you designing it, and Brutus is like, not like that, a little bit like this. No,
Oh, I
like
can
that.
hear it now in
That's
his
amazing.
beautiful accent. I can hear that. And yes, this is a guide. This isn't my invisible friend, or is he?
The gatekeeper guide. If you don't know what that is, go to episode 2.
Episode number not uno, but dos.
Well, I will let you get to a busy day, as
Looking
I am
forward to
sure
it.
you have.
Yes, I do, and I love it.
I
Teaching
love you so
tonight. Oh
much.
my gosh, trance speaking. Woo!
Ooh,
No.
real quick. Give us what's your 5-minute elevator pitch on what you said, trans channeling?
Trance channeling, trance
Oh,
speaking,
trance.
trance
My bad.
mediumship. Woo! We're gonna have fun.
Ooh,
Now we're really, again, we're making the participants comfortable in the spoken word. You know, the spirit has a voice as well. They don't necessarily just come around and start talking and as a person would, but they can speak to and through us. And so we're going to have a lot of fun practicing and getting some good laughs, and because it's all fun too. You know, what we do is it's really fun. And
I
so we're
love it.
going to talk to our guides, our spirit world, our spirit team, and have at it for a couple hours this evening.
Let's go. I love it.
Yes.
And again, to all the listeners, go ahead and subscribe to our channel. Ask your questions. Tell us why we might be right or wrong, and let us know kind of what you think about some of these topics, especially as we get into some grittier aspects of it. And then also go ahead and ask your questions, one personal, one more like metaphysically driven, and we will try to get to you. So,
Absolutely.
And Terri, tell us how we can get to you.
Yes, indeed. Oh gosh, vitaperceptions.com. That is my website. I'd love to have you there. It is VITA. You've got the rest of it. Vita Perceptions. Put an S on it. That's my website. And I've also if you want to reach to me a little bit more personally, you can reach me at vitaperceptions@gmail.com.
And all of this will be linked below for you guys to find.
Yes.
But very good. All right. Well, I'm going to see you next week, and I cannot wait.
Cannot wait. I'm so excited. And to all our listeners and viewers, make today your best. Let's go do it. Lead with love.
I love it. I love it. And I love you to the moon and back, Terri.
I
Talk
love
to you
you to the
soon.
moon and back as well. Have a
All
great
right.
day.
Bye.